All right, I show we're live. So I will call to order the Monday, June 24th, 2024 meeting of the Sustainable BC Committee. Let me see. We have more members now. We added a couple members last week or the week before at the city's committee review meeting. I don't know that I see either of them though, Patty.
No, I just heard, well, I heard from Skylar that he was unable to attend today, and then Michael, I don't know if that's him right there. I just talked to him. He was having trouble logging in, but I'm not sure. It might be him right there.
All right, then let's just for the good of the order, let's just go around and introduce ourselves. I will start, and then I will. Oh, there's Skylar too. All right, folks. Welcome. We're just getting started. Called to order a minute ago. Some folks are joining in. So we'll go. We do have some new members. So we'll go around and introduce ourselves. I'll just call on people. So I'll go around my screen and call on folks. Just your name, where you're zooming from, and your role. If you're a member, as a City of Battle Creek staff member, or you're just a community volunteer, or maybe you're another government entity and you're a member, or you're here as a guest, just what it is your interest and or position is here. All right, so I'm Andy Humboldt, a community volunteer and current chair of the committee. I will go over to Patty and Bessie.
Patty Hilk-Meliuish, City of Battle Creek Environmental, zooming in from DPW here in Battle Creek.
Bessie Plug, also City of Battle Creek Environmental Department, zooming in from DPW.
Thank you both. I forgot my own instructions. I am zooming in from my home in Battle Creek, City of Battle Creek. Bob.
Hi, I'm Bob Gilbert. I am also a community volunteer, and I am zooming in from my home in Battle Creek.
All right, Chris.
Yes, hello. Chris Martin, urban planner with Battle Creek Unlimited, zooming in from our office in Battle Creek.
All right, Jarrett.
Jared Gearing, city engineer for the city of Battle Creek, and I'm also a DPW.
All righty. Commissioner Ballard.
Roger. Commissioner Ballard, City of Battle.
All right. Darcy.
Hi, I'm the planning supervisor for the city of Battle Creek.
Thank you. Michael.
Yes.
If you could just share your name, where you're zooming in, and just your position on the committee, whether you're a community volunteer or a staff member. Or...
Yeah, I'm a community volunteer. I'm here in Battle Creek. My name is Mike Wyszynski.
All right, thank you, Mike. So that's not the new Michael. That's the Mike we already had, right, Patty?
He's fairly new within the last few months, right?
Right,
Mike?
Semi-new, but wasn't one of the new
brand
people's
new.
name also named Michael? Or
Yes.
am I
Yes.
Okay. Skylar, welcome.
Hello, I'm Skylar Huber. I'm just a community volunteer, new to the committee. I'm zooming in from my workplace at the Federal Center in the city of Battle Creek.
Great, thank you. Thanks for joining, Skylar. We're happy to have new folks, so thank you for joining and for your commitment. Particularly for yeah, I know it can be an odd meeting time for folks in the community because it's during the day, but this is what we have. Ryan.
I introduced myself. I just need to see them again. I want to put myself on TV.
Ryan Rinke with the Callan Conservation District, zooming in from Marshall.
All right. Thank you. And listen, just so we're clear, Ryan and Darcy are not actual members of the committee, but they come as guests periodically when schedule and business allows. All right, I believe that's everyone. You'll see Eric with the City of Battle Creek Communications. He doesn't actually participate in meetings, he's just here to get us going and to end us when we need to end. Okay, so Patty, let's see, what's the word for when you have enough people? Quorum, sorry. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then 2 new people, 14 members now, yes? Does that sound right? So a quorum would be 8, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We actually have 9 people, so we do have a quorum. So the really only official business we have, I think, we do have some updating and advisory stuff going on today for sure. But we do want to approve our minutes. Those were sent. Bessie does the minutes. Those were sent alongside the agenda and whatnot. So hopefully folks have had a chance to review those minutes. And if someone would be so kind as to offer a motion to approve those minutes, that would be great.
Chris Martin, Battle Creek Unlimited, motion to approve.
Okay, and did I hear from you, Michael? Do you support?
I do.
Okay, thank you. All right, so moved by Chris, supported by Mike, to approve the April 29 minutes. Any questions or feedback or comment or discussion?
Skylar Huber, I have a question. How do I get added to that email chain?
I think I will. I think I sent them. Go ahead, Bessie.
Yeah, we just added you. I apologize, but we did get you added to the list. So I can be sure to forward these to you after the meeting if you like.
Yeah, that'd be cool to look at. Thank you.
Okay.
And I think I did resend to, I thought everyone on the list last week, but maybe I thought I had you in there, Skylar, but maybe not. Let me check.
I don't believe so. It is possible I'm mistaken, but
is it Huber Skylar 02@gmail.com?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, yes, we will. If you don't get meeting, if you're not getting notices, let us know.
Okay, we'll do.
But you made it, so you got the important one.
Yeah.
All right. Flipping back and forth. All right, I will turn it over to Patty then, and we will do. I know the main event today is to go over and give some advice about the greenhouse gas inventory report, how we want to formulate that, the goals in it and whatnot. So I'll turn over to you, Patty, if you want to do whatever updating and whatnot you want to do before that or after that, however you want to. I know you've got it's sort of in the middle of the updates on the agenda, but we can do it however we want.
Okay. All right. Well, Bessie did a brief PowerPoint that we will go through just to get you updated on what we've been doing.
Okay.
There's been a lot going on. So I will. All right. I'm going to put everybody down here. Okay. Bessie.
Can you all see that okay?
Yep.
Excellent.
Yes.
Okay. The Kalamazoo River Watershed Photo Contest will be ending the end of July. At this moment, we have no youth submissions in the youth category, and we have very few adult submissions. So please try to spread this around. We have enough to vote, but it's so great to have, a bigger selection.
They'll go in the calendar and cash prizes. So any kid at this point that entered would win something. So spread the word.
Sweet. I'll go have my daughter take a picture of the river and send it to you.
Seriously. Oh, did I miss one?
Oh, no, we're good. Okay. May 8th scrap tire event was a success. We collected over 1,000 tires. Is it on auto? Is it on play?
I don't know. Okay, there we go.
We collected over 1,200 tires. I think we seen over 150 people. And we actually collected an extra 400 that our field services team delivered to Huffman Rubber after the event. May 15th, our open house was very successful.
I'm sorry. Technical difficulties, hang on. Oh, my word. There we go. Yeah, it's slow.
There's a lot of pictures in this slideshow, so maybe that's why it's kind of being slow.
I'm just gonna go from current slide.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, we had over 150 people show up, which was a lot bigger number than last year, so we were pretty excited about that.
I'm gonna just do it this
Yeah,
way.
that's fine.
Okay.
That's our electronics collection event. We had over 200 people come through. Shupan did such a nice job, and I didn't put the tonnage, but or the weight, but we about I think we recycled about 19,000 pounds of material this year.
It's coming. Hang on.
If it's easier and faster, just do it from the regular edit view instead of the slideshow
Yeah,
view.
okay, I'll do that.
I mean, it's not all that, it's practically the same size anyway, so it's we will not dock you points for lack of
Okay, all right.
whatever.
Okay, here's the next one. It's spinning, it's thinking
there's-
about it.
There's a lot of pictures. Is your computer hot?
Not responding. Bad time to not.
Just a suggestion,
Okay.
Patty,
Yes.
PDFing might help you too.
Okay,
At the
that's a good
time.
point. Yep,
Yep.
very good point. Next time.
On May 28th, we did a recycling tour at Recycle Works. It was super fun, very educational. There was just a handful of us, me, Bob, or no, me, Lynn, Kathy, and Roger, went this year. And Jack Brown from Republic Services joined us. It was pretty cool. So there's several slides with pictures. And then I made like a 1-minute video of some of the automation, which is pretty cool. And once we get to the last slide, there's a link. But some cool, the baling was really beautiful. It was super cool.
There's the video if you want me to do it. or not.
Should we click on the video last?
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Okay,
You ready?
we'll hit the video last. Yeah, go ahead. We did a tree planting off Jackson. I'm assuming that's what this one was, right?
Mhm.
It took us 3 different sessions, maybe 4 or 5 different sessions to plant 500 trees, saplings. So it was quite laborious, but we made it through. A lot of great groups helped us out. Denzo, the ARC, City of Battle Creek, NHS kids. Yep. And then I think the last one here, coming up is July 13th, our Canoe the Kazoo and River Cleanup. We have about 50 people registered. We're looking for at least 80 or so. So please register. We have more information at bcwater.org, or at the kalamazooriver.org. So it's a good event. We paddled the Battle Creek River and you go under about 6 or 7 bridges. So it's a good time. We'll go back and see if we can see if the video link works.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, definitely,
It's not,
clickable.
no.
It should be a hyperlink.
Hmm.
I wonder if we hit. Okay, can I find it really quick? Sorry, just 1 second and we can find the or not. Wait, oh, it's over here. There we go. I can hear it running.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. So we have to do just click on it and it'll share. We can share it.
I don't know.
Can you guys see the blue?
No.
You can't see that?
No.
I think we've got to stop.
No, we're still seeing your PowerPoint.
Okay.
Yeah, you might have to change your stop sharing and reshare a different.
Oh, there's this media player right there.
Okay. How's that?
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, yard waste, yeah.
Oops.
Jeez. What I was struck by when I went before was just the still the level of physical or like human sorting going on at these places, so. All right. So.
Yeah, there's sort of various automated preliminary sorting going on there with fans and what magnets and I don't know what else. I didn't go, but it's all pretty cool.
Well, I guess we'll talk real briefly. We have a few grants out there. National Fish and Wildlife Federation, 5-star, that's a grant, a tree grant that's still pending. We'll find out about that. Probably in September. We were awarded, it was sort of it's sort of a grant, but through the Department of Energy, the city of Battle Creek was allotted $118,280 for, and we're using it as in the voucher program for energy efficient lighting. DPW, wastewater and water treatment, and then also the Lakeview Business District, some new fixtures there. So some money's being spent there. We also have another grant for the wellhead protection that's pending. That's sort of an annual one. So we'll probably feel pretty good. We'll get that one for $35,000 for public education and some site visits for the wellhead protection area. And I think, oh, those are the minutes. I think that's pretty much what's going on right now for grants. So we'll get to the heart of this meeting, which is to get some guidance on the greenhouse gas inventory. And see if I can find that one. Oh, it's over here. So I don't know if everyone did their homework, but are you seeing the greenhouse gas inventory now?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So basically, the contractor that we hired is called ICLEI, and they have a template. And so they collected all of our greenhouse gas data from consumers, Semco, the airport, our DPW facilities. They use some generalizations from Google Analytics. And so there's a bunch of different data sources that they used. And based on what we supplied, they have this template that they populated with Battle Creek data. So there are just a few things that we need some guidance on, based on what they populated here. I filled in, credits and acknowledgements that, hadn't been filled in before, and I can send this to you, but we thank the Battle Creek Community Foundation, Sustainable BC Committee, City Manager's Mayor's Office, Bob Gilbert, because he put in a lot of extra time for this effort. And then the data providers, and then ICLEI for their support. So if there's anyone, any organization that you think should be acknowledged that aren't, we have time to do that. Maybe I should just stop for just a second. And did everyone, do you feel comfortable with the process? Did you look over the report? Anything that stood out that you weren't comfortable with? No?
This is Chris with BCU. I just had a few comments, but they can just wait till the end. There's
Okay.
more a few suggestions. I think you had the options, and looks like you had filled in the first two a little bit more in detail, but
Okay.
I can wait till the end. Okay.
All right, thanks. So we decided, and if you guys are comfortable with that, doing a letter from the mayor that our communications Jessica Vanderkolk helped with. We could do the executive summary, but a lot of communities just choose one or the other, and I liked the letter to the mayor, but if you guys have other thoughts on that, please chime in. The key findings is pretty straightforward. Commercial energy, that's industry as well as commercial energy. They lump them together, was the Battle Creek community's biggest energy user, followed by residential, transportation, solid waste, and so down the road there. And then this is just sort of typical ICLEI verbiage there. And then, so we were getting into page 7 was our first question here. So this is giving more specific information on what climate change will mean to the Battle Creek area, the Midwest, Great Lakes area. And Bob had some good research, some good, see if I can pull his up here. I think I sent that along as well. Where is his? Okay.
Can I just say while you're pausing for a sec, Patty, just for Skylar's benefit, Skylar, I did just a few minutes ago forward you the email that from Patty that had all this in it, the draft PDF and the document she's talking about.
Excellent. I can actually follow along. Thank you.
Yeah, you're jumping in midstream here, so thank you.
So, pull up Bob's stuff here. I thought I had it pulled up, but I guess I didn't. Where it is. And did I send along Bob's recommendations? I thought I did with the report that I sent all you guys, but
I believe you did.
okay. Well, I'm gonna share
Yes.
them here because they were really well researched and okay, here they are. So I would recommend maybe if we could all kind of take a second look at Bob's recommendations and maybe populate this page with some of his generalized findings, like, the increased precipitation, some of his findings that I think would add a little more meat to this page here. If everyone's good with that, and I can resend Bob's recommendations, but I thought they were really good. So I'm gonna go back to the report again and share. Gonna make you dizzy. Okay.
Yeah, I thought any and all of that was appropriate to add in there, particularly for the purpose of making it local. What are the effects here locally going to be?
Okay. So I'll go through and Bob, I was having some trouble like making your PDF editable at all. So I was gonna go in and highlight some of the ones that I thought might be better, but I was trying to convert it to Word and I couldn't do that. So if you have it in a different format and could maybe send it, that might be helpful.
I do,
okay.
Patty. I have it in a Word document. I'll send it right after this meeting.
Okay, sounds great. All
Okay.
right, that'd be really helpful. And then, so then it kind of gets into more kind of general, what is greenhouse gas? You know, what are we doing here? ICLEI's kind of approach, and then it goes on page 11. We start talking about how they got our numbers and what our numbers were, the protocol. So all that's pretty straightforward. Quantification methods. And then our results are on page 14. So that's all kind of cut and dry. But okay. And then on page 17 of the report, this is where we're talking about tree canopy analysis. And ICLEI they weren't, I don't know, they kind of go back and forth on how they want to report this, but I kind of liked having it in there because sometimes planting trees, it's a great thing to do, but it's not going to be the remedy to our issues here with greenhouse gas emissions. So I think that's kind of a nice thing to have in there. And then on Bob's document, you'll also see where he addressed that a little bit and maybe some additional wording we can put in there, because I think it's important to talk about planting trees because it certainly is one of our tools, but it's not the only tool. So we wanted to talk about things that we can do. And I kind of we want to talk more about just reducing our use. That hasn't been really addressed a lot. So it's kind of, I think we should talk more, and my recommendation is talking more about just also reducing our use of energy in general. So I would like to include some of Bob's findings on page 17 too. You'll see his recommendations at the bottom as well for talking about tree canopy analysis. But I think where our next steps here, that something I think would be kind of nice to talk about, and we won't be able to get into a lot of detail. The next phase after a greenhouse gas inventory is sort of a climate action plan based on our findings from the initial greenhouse gas inventory. So that's where you get into a little bit more of the details of city buildings will be reduced X amount, we'll, get more electrified vehicles. So a little bit more of the details of how we will go about addressing the findings from the greenhouse gas inventory. This ICLEI, they were talking about this business as usual forecast, and they're really very general with this. He said he could add more of a comprehensive explanation, which I think isn't a bad thing. I think my recommendation is to go ahead and add a more comprehensive explanation, but it's sort of, so the business as usual forecast is if we keep doing what we're doing and assuming that more energy, what am I trying to say? Greener energy is going to be put into our grid, basically. So that's what the assumption, this kind of puts it all on like a consumer's energy to go to solar, or if we're, some of the more greener, what they're calling greener energy sources are employed. That's how we end up with sort of a negative or a reduced energy usage, even though we're doing the same thing and our population might grow. So I don't know if anybody has any comments on that, or if you want him to go into a little more detail on the business as usual forecast. Any thoughts on that?
Patty, this is Bob.
Yep.
My understanding was, when he was talking about this, business as usual would not result in like a net zero or anything like that. If depending on how much population growth we had, it would just almost like be kind of a neutral. Our energy emissions would maybe per capita stay about the same. Is
Right.
that how you read that? Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So if we don't really make any moves and just kind of rely on our energy provider to make the moves, then this is kind of where we'll be. So we're not really gaining anything as far as our reduction.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Is that your understanding too, Bob?
That was my understanding, but I always have to double check.
Yeah, so I know I'm hurrying through this, but we don't have a ton of time, but I think where we really need the guidance is on page 20. And he's talking about the science-based targets. And that's where we as a committee need to make our recommendations to the city commission on what we want our science-based targets to be. And they're pretty ambitious. If where did that document? It was like there was a 2030 goal and a 2050 goal, and we would have to reduce our emissions by like over 60% to get to our 2050 goal of net zero. And we can put that in here, we can recommend it. But what the city commission decides to do, that's another thing. But this is where we're gonna need the recommendation of the committee is to, if we want to go with Ickley's recommendation with the very aggressive goal for 2050, this is where it would go. Crickets, what's everybody thinking?
I'll start and say, I don't necessarily see anything wrong or risky about an aggressive 2050 goal. I mean, that's still a 25-year goal. And I know then the science is going to say, okay, well, if that's your goal by 50, then here's what you need to be doing by 30, and here's what you need to be doing by 40. So I guess those are a little more tangible. Obviously, I'm babbling over the fact that the farther away the year is, the less tangible it is, and the closer the year is, the more tangible it is, and the more it's going to have meaning to the commission, and they're going to be, okay, wait a minute, you want us to do what, or what's it going to cost, or what's
right. So here's the 62. To do its fair share, Battle Creek should reduce 22 emissions by 62.9% per capita. That's 2030, and 62.6% absolute. So absolute means it's basically the same, but every individual should reduce their use by 63% by 2030, and to reach our goal, the whole community has to reduce use. So this is a 2030 goal, and there is the 2050 goals out there somewhere, by 50% by 2030. Anyway, so this is what, do we want to talk about 2030 goals at 63%, or do you want to back off and have him recalculate for 2050? I mean, they're goals, we're not tied to anything, but they're goals, so.
Hey, Patty. Oh, go
no,
ahead.
Go ahead, Bob. Go ahead.
Just one thing we had talked about on that too, when we were talking with Matt from Ickley, and he had sent us some data about other cities in Battle Creek, or other cities around southern Michigan that also have embraced these kind of goals. I noticed with a lot of those other cities, they had done, this is kind of like Battle Creek's benchmark. This is the first time we've had a measurement of our goals. And what did we go back to, 2022?
Yes.
I think, yeah.
Yep.
And many of the other cities in Michigan that started on this, their benchmark was quite a bit further back, like some were at 2015 and some were 2018. So another thing for us to think about is if our benchmark started later, the 2030 goal he is talking about were for cities that began this journey earlier than us. So we could kind of slide that 2030 goal longer into the future, just based on the fact that our benchmark started at a later date and time. I think that would mean that we're, we still could make the 2050 goal, but we would give ourselves a little bit of time to make that interim goal. And the reason why we would give ourselves that time is because we started with the benchmark a little bit later. So it's just something to consider that, if we're looking at cities, other sister cities around our area, we are starting a little bit later, so we would presumably should be able to have a little bit more time to meet that first goal.
Yeah, that's a good point, Bob. And maybe, like, am I hearing you suggest that maybe instead of 2030 goals, we should adopt like 2035 goals?
I had sent out in my recommendations, I think I said 2036. I went back and looked at a few cities down here in southern Michigan, and I think I came up that we were about 6 years behind the average. So I just added 6 years to that goal based on what where the average city had started. But 2035, 2036, that's the same thinking, is that we're just.
Yeah, I'm just saying people like the zeros and the fives,
Yeah, that would work.
And also that's, by the time this gets going and whatnot, we're into 2025, that would be like a 10-year. That would be like a 10-year goal instead of a 5-year.
I agree.
5 years is coming really fast. 10 years seems like seems a lot more positive. It seems like we could accomplish a lot more in 10 years than 5 years. Which I keep thinking that I have a horrible case of stating the obvious today, I think. So maybe be quiet, let other people talk.
Thank you for this, and sorry, my voice is going out, and apologies for my tardiness. I had another commitment, but Kiona joining remotely from Battle Creek, joined about 2 minutes ago. But Patty, thanks. And you may have already covered this, but where are we currently trending, and how obtainable are these goals if we were to give ourselves a 2030 opposed to a 2036, as Bob had suggested, and so forth?
I don't have a great feel on how we're trending since this is our baseline, so we don't have the data prior to this, or I don't have easy access to it. So this will be our baseline from which to measure going forward. And our sustainability plan currently is very, oh gosh, I should have pulled that up, but we were like less than 10% goals that we were talking about initially. So this is a big jump from where our sustainability plan goals are to what we're now proposing potentially. So, so it answered your question. I didn't answer your question. I don't know where we're trending going forward, but I think based on what we're doing right now, it's going to depend on the energy grid for big jumps in our reduction in greenhouse gas and emissions rather than what we're doing as a city or as a community. That's my take on it. And I'm kind of pretty new to this whole thing, but that's what I'm hearing from the experts. So
I appreciate it, and I appreciate you sharing your thoughts along with what you're hearing from the experts there. I just want to further pull that thread a little bit. What consideration has been taken on the impact that it'll have on our city? Or I'm not even sure if this will stretch county-wide. If so, the county as well.
We're pretty new. You're on the cutting edge of what I think Battle Creek is doing right now. So we haven't really put a lot into this. This is all new territory. I know Kalamazoo's just jumping into it. Ann Arbor, I can share. I talked to Ickley last week, and Ann Arbor's climate action plan is like the gold standard, as you wouldn't be surprised to hear, because they're very environmentally conscious in Ann Arbor. But I can share that with you. But I think we're just starting this process, and as a city, we're trying to make steps, but as a community, I don't have my feelers out there real well yet on what industries are doing here, or so I'm learning. So
yeah, we're all learning together. Thank you.
Yeah.
So Patty, just so I understand, one of the main points that you just mentioned there before Kiona's question was that any kind of significant reduction, anything approaching this 60%, like any kind of huge improvement would necessarily mean there would have been huge improvements in the electric grid itself. Like we're not going to on our own, like we're not going to cut our electric use in the city of Battle Creek by 62%. Like that's going to necessitate the grid itself becoming more sustainable and having fewer emissions by a lot.
Yeah, that's what I heard from Matthew and Bob and Bessie. If you could chime in if you heard something different, but he was just saying that our government, the state government here is so pro solar and the other alternative energy sources that we are going to have a better chance of meeting our goals than some of the other states. So that's what I heard, and I could be wrong, but I don't want to. What I'm really hesitant is to take it off the individual or the businesses or industry to not try to do anything on their own, because we're waiting for that to be our answer. I really want to make our report have everyone contribute. That's why we did the community-wide one. We want to see what we can do, public transportation, turn your heat down a little bit in the winter, things that we can do as individuals, just quit using so many things for recycling and, so that's how I would like to see the report go, but I'm just one person, so.
Thank you for lifting some of the current efforts, and I don't mean to come in and take over or anything of that nature. Just, I know I received quite a bit of feedback regarding the reduce the amount of electricity usage between the hours of 2 and 7, Monday through Friday, and the feedback hasn't been as positive as I had hoped. I didn't know if anyone else was receiving any or hearing of any feedback, and also just the impact we're having on some folks who are the necessity. So now I'm paying more out of the use of needing to have these at least until 5 p.m. because of my work from home job, or my kids that are home and it's too hot to have them outdoors playing in scorching heat and things of that nature. So I was just wanting to get a feel of what others are hearing, especially given that this isn't, I believe, I don't know how many years in we've done this, but I know it's more than one because I do recall specifically doing it last year.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything of feedback on that. Is anyone else on the call?
And Keona, you're referencing the Consumers Energy Program that encourages people to, you can pay a reduced bill for using more of your power off the peak times. Right. And it's sort of like, how do we, it's 6 of one, a half dozen another. You're either paying more in peak time or you're paying less. You're going to pay what you're going to pay. And if you want to think of it as like you're getting charged a premium to run your air in the afternoon, or you're getting charged a discount to run it. And, yeah. I haven't heard a lot of, I haven't heard a lot of people. There was a Facebook thread a couple of days ago, people talking about it, but mostly it was just informational and whatnot. But.
Okay, yeah, I was down at some of the community events, one down at Claude Evans Park the weekend before last, and then the Kids Day, which is a really diverse crowd, down at the Kellogg Arena this past weekend as well. And those were just topics of discussion. That topic came up with just some folks that were just trying to find balance, while also trying to help us reach that overall goal with lower electric usage during our peak summer times that we were having. So I wasn't sure if anyone else heard or if folks lifted anything or anything of that nature, but thanks.
Patty, I'm wondering if is a part of this. I know you don't. I know that this is just the report, and then you use this as the foundation to come up with a plan. Like plan being, okay, here's what we're gonna do. But I'm wondering if it might be helpful to include and maybe some of this was in here and I'm forgetting it, I don't know, but the idea being to include some kind of examples or illustrations of like, you know, if a household wanted to reduce, you know, over the next 10 years, if a household wanted to reduce their own personal consumption by 60%, here are the things they would, you know, here are some things they would have to do in order to do that. Or
That's not in this initial report, but that's the way I would like to see our next steps heading. So that, yeah, I like that idea.
okay.
Me
Looks like
too.
Ryan has his hand up. I don't know if we want
Go ahead, Ryan. Thanks.
Yeah, so early in the presentation, you talked about all the recycling programs. Are those included in like kind of the the tree canopy, how it's a reduction of greenhouse, just because it is a reduction of some manner, doing recycling programs and things like that?
We aren't down to that level of detail, but what we did include in this was solid waste, the county's solid waste data and how that is contributing to greenhouse gas. So we do have actual like our volumes of waste that went into that. So recycling, I guess, is sort of tied into that because it would be a reduction in the solid waste going to the landfill. But no, that's where our climate action plan the next step will take into account those kind of things that you're talking about, how we can now work towards our goal. So good question.
Yeah, the reason I asked, and I'm wondering about this in particular, Patty, is like if this is a report and we're trying to decide, okay, what should the goal be? And we're trying to decide, is it realistic? Is it achievable? Is it attainable? If I'm just a member of the person, or if I'm on the commission or I'm a member of the public and I'm reading this report, how do I have any kind of like, how would I have any kind of idea as to whether or not how would I be able to judge whether this is a attainable number, a stretch goal number, a ridiculous number? The reporter is saying, hey, if we don't do this stuff, the temperature is going to rise and the rain's going to go up and there's going to be more weeks like this last week with 90 degrees. I get that. But like when it comes down to the number, like what is actually, like, are you asking me to turn my thermostat down 2 degrees or are you asking me to turn it down 10 degrees? You know,
yeah, those are great questions. And you know, maybe if anyone would want to sit in on the next time I meet with Matthew from ICLEI to see if we can incorporate some of those kind of answers, but it's such a high level analysis right now.
Yeah.
But I see what I totally understand what you're saying. This greenhouse gas stuff is just all new to me too. It's hard to wrap my head around, and so I'm any guidance you guys have and suggestions, but those are good points to bring out.
Or maybe because there's a delineation between, and again, I'm talking on here, so folks from the committee, just jump in, raise your hand or just shout, hey, I have something to say. Maybe we take a step back from goal setting and say, this is a report. And if it's just the science of, if Battle Creek were to want to meet its share of the Paris, here's the number that it would need to do. Boom, boom. This is the science. This is the math. This is the number we'd have to do as a community. If it wants to do this, then that. If it wants to do this, then that. But we don't actually use this document to set a goal. But then when we come out with a climate action plan, then we're going to say, okay, our goal, we think that we can do this, all of these things we're going to do in order to hit a goal of this by 35 and this by 50.
So Andy, for reference, I just happened to take a class last week to keep up one of my licenses. So turning your thermostat 3 degrees, so 3 degrees cooler in the winter, 3 degrees warmer in the summer, gets rid of about 1,000 pounds of CO2 per year per house that does it. So I mean, if we're looking at 510,000 megatons of CO2 emissions, you'd pretty much have to get every house to do it every year from here on out, and it would barely put a dent in it, but it helps.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of thing that like,
Mhm.
there's answers out there on, you know, what little things people can do. You know, the 3 degrees in the winter as opposed to setting your house at 72, setting it at 68 or 69,
Mm-hmm.
you're not really gonna notice. Or at least most people won't notice. And it doesn't help a lot, but it does help a little bit, so.
Yeah, thanks, Jared. Skylar, do you have your hand? Go ahead, Skylar.
Yes, Skylar Huber with just a community volunteer. I wasn't really sure what the standard was for speaking here, so I was trying to put my hand up.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not
good.
used to Zoom on my phone. But anyways, I just wanted to add my voice to a few things. I do think a long-term goal is good, but I think if possible, if plausible, it would be better to do more of like shorter term goals to kind of like see how we'd get to that point. I'd be kind of curious to see like, you know, there's a 2050 goal, but like what sort of I guess this is still the planning stage, so hopefully would get to that point where we could look at it year by year. But I do understand it's still an idea. And I do agree with a sort of a call to action for the community. Just sort of something we can try to encourage others to sort of rally behind. Just that as us and citizens can collaboratively, what's the word here? Let's kind of do like a shared effort, whether that's like turning the thermostat down a little bit or something else. I'm not quite sure what that would look like, but I'm sure there's some way that appropriate marketing and word of mouth, we could just kind of rally behind an idea or two. That, anyways, before I continue to ramble, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I be heard?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, I think these are great. I mean, I'm brand new to the meetings here, and it's very interesting. And I have been involved in certain movements, and the shorter a goal is, the better it can be monitored. So even if, yeah, we have a goal for 2035, let's say, as what the other gentleman discussed, but whenever I've had to motivate people, there has to be a game, and it has to be broadly known. If we want to get broad, grassroots support, there has to be a game. There has to be somebody in our committee or our volunteer, and I'm just a volunteer, a community volunteer. But if we get the game out, hey, this is the game to make Battle Creek hit these targets. And then what the other gentleman said, like, look, what's the data of comparable magnitude? Okay, 62%. Well, it's just sort of like, what does that mean? Or the other gentleman said, so many, I think it was Mr. Huber, said so many megatons of, well, what does the average guy think of that? He doesn't know what that, there's no datum of comparable magnitude. So I think we have to design something, and I'm gonna get to work on this and submit it to the committee as, what kind of game can we implement, and then use this report as like the landscape, and then come up with projects that would work towards that game, to fulfillment of that goal. Yeah, that's all I want to say. And then I'm going to meet with Patty because I don't even know what ICLEI is.
sorry about that. It's the contractor that we're using for, it's just the name of the contractor. It's the short for something, but they're called ICLEI. So they're the group that we hired to do this.
The analysis.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
Thank you very much. And
Yep, sorry about that. Skipped a step there.
Thanks for my time on the air here.
Thank you.
If I could jump in real quick. maybe this is just me being Debbie Downer or I don't know, but what I would almost like to see is if there's some sort of way to make a policy or an ordinance change, because I don't think that simply outreach is going to make much of an impact, because I don't know, I feel like to really make anything happen, you almost have to make it like a regulation or an ordinance to really, because if just out of the goodness of most people's hearts, there's got to be some sort of push or incentive or, something behind it to really make it worth our while on this to make a change, because I don't know, like, that's my thoughts. So I would love to see this be a way to push some sort of new policy on even how we deal with solid waste. Like, if this is a great way to reduce our footprint in solid waste, maybe we try to push to get rid of the unlimited trash pickup, and maybe I think Grand Rapids, they do like a pay to tip, like people, like residents, you have to do with the trash company, but they have a weight and they can weigh your cart and that's your rate. So the heavier your trash cart, the more you're going to pay. So, I mean, I think those would be great impacts, great changes to make, but that's just my thoughts.
Yeah, I practically speaking, you're right. People need some kind of incentive, whether it's legal or financial or whatever it is, something baked into the system where I know that I'm fine doing my part. That's also getting recognized by the community in a lower rate for something, or a better deal on something else, or I'm not getting fined, but my neighbor is, or whatever it is. But we're running low on time here, Patty and Bessie. So what do you you're meeting again with
ICLEI?
Matthew from ICLEI?
Yes. I guess my takeaways here were that as people who haven't been involved in this too much, it needs a lot more explanation, simplified. And we have this membership with ICLEI, the group that we're working with, until the end of August 31st, and we have access to other climate action plans, greenhouse gas inventory. So if anyone would like access to that, I can give you the login and let you guys look around. I will also send you, I would say Grand Rapids is the closest to ours that I've seen, because they're following that format. And so I'll send that to you as well. But I guess, is it possible to maybe have a special meeting between now and our next meeting to kind of keep talking about this for those who want to stay involved in, because I still need more guidance, I think.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know why not. I
Okay.
mean, we set our own, we could decide to meet next month too, or at some point next month.
I think that would be really helpful if we could do that. And whoever wants to join, I would appreciate that feedback. And I know, Chris, you had something to add too before we were done here. If you
Yeah, well, I would welcome that special. I would welcome to be a part of that special committee, especially looking at the breakup. A lot of our conversation's been on residential, but that's less than 25% really. I know
Right.
transportation and waste falls into that, but a lot of the outreach really needs to be on the commercial side and industry as well too. So, and I think there are, in the fort here, there's a lot of international companies with a lot of high standards coming down, kind of that top-down approach. So how does that work on plant by plant? But my comments in particular were maybe more of including some type of introduction or overview of what to expect at the top of the document. I liked the mayor's statement, but it wasn't really, I really enjoyed that statement. I thought that was a really good breath of the community, but what to expect. A lot of people read the Cliff Notes, right? So what's a quick summary? Because it kind of jumps right to the game of a breakdown, which is fine. But if you're new to this, it might be helpful to have that. And I do have some other specific notes on like pages and stuff, which I could share with Patty later. But just incorporating transit a lot more too, like on page 8 or others, just incorporating feasible ways. that can be obtainable.
Okay, yeah, please send me that. I am so open for suggestions, begging for suggestions.
Mhm.
So,
But I do
yeah.
like the idea of breaking things out in the next phase, like a lot of committee members talked about too. Because yeah, I think the state has that 2050 goal, but leadership can change with any election year. So it's good to have local power. And what does that mean? Well, maybe that means that people write to write to consumers more, right? Or make sure the Michigan, Public Service Commission stays true to those goals. But what can you do locally, and how to support businesses and other industries too. So I would welcome to be a part of that special review process.
Great, thank you. Well, I'll get a meeting set up, and is this a good time for everyone, or I want to encourage the most participation I can, so if another time for a special meeting works better, that's fine too, so.
Personally, I would prefer after 1800, but I understand if that's not a popular mass opinion.
Okay.
That's 6
Yeah.
p.m.
Yeah, staff usually, one of the things we're usually beholden to is during the workday, because there's a lot of staff participation here from the City of Battle Creek staff, and they're in their workday. But yeah,
If no action items is taken, Andy, are we able to just hold like a subcommittee meeting without them and it be along the lines of after hours?
We can have whatever kind of meeting we want. It's just if we think that we're going to have more than a quorum, it needs to be publicly noticed. Is all. I think I would prefer just our regularly scheduled, like it be like a Monday at 1:30. Just and I know that's that's not after 6 p.m.
Okay.
I like this time, but just only because it fits for me. But
Okay.
But I'm agreeable. I'll make it happen.
I mean, and a lot of this too is like, I mean, there'll be a document you can write and give feedback, and like, hey, on page 8 it says this and that's confusing. Can we say this instead? That kind of thing.
Okay. One more note on this. We could potentially, if we had staff, which might be really difficult, I should say more volunteers, we could do this inventory more frequently. There's a template that we can follow now, and we could compare our baseline more frequently than hiring it out, because it was a $5,000 effort to have this done. So now that we know and what we need the data that we need, it's possible that we could do this more often, and then to Kiona's question, track it a little more closely now that we have the baseline. It's a big effort, but if we wanted to do it every 2 years or continue to hire it out, but that's a financial cost to us too. So just know that we now with the baseline can start tracking better. So.
Yeah. All right, Patty. So when would you like to have a July?
Let's see. I could do. We could do the 29th, which will give us about a month, or the 15th, which is quite a little sooner. But I could do either the 15th or the 29th.
I second the 29th, as I have every other Monday off, and I would be able to be there gladly. I can also make it work and just harder.
Yeah.
Is it going to be a Zoom meeting? Also, it's a Zoom meeting, right?
Yes, it would be a Zoom meeting.
Yeah, the 29th would work.
Yeah, I'm out of town on the 29th, but I can Zoom from anywhere.
Okay, let's go with the 29th then. We'll try that. Let's see who can show up for that one. So 29th at 1:30, I'll send out an invitation to everybody. Yeah.
And can you, Patty, can you handle getting it noticed? I mean,
Yep.
We'll want to get it noticed as a regular meeting, like our others are just adding a meeting to our.
Oh, yep, we can do that.
our schedule. Okay.
Okay, well, thanks all. This was
All
good
right.
feedback.
Is
Let's
that
before.
action- I'm sorry. I just want to make sure we're meeting. Is that an action item that we need to vote on? Because then that goes against our regularly scheduled meetings that we already approved for.
That's probably a good point. You're right. We voted on a regular calendar, so I'll take that as a motion, Kiona. Kiona motions that we add a meeting to our calendar on July 29th at 1:30 p.m. via Zoom. Yes, is that
I'll
what I'm hearing?
second.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, moved by Kiona and seconded by Bob that we add that meeting to our calendar. Any other discussion or questions? All right, then, those that are in favor of that, please say aye or wave affirmatively or take
Aye.
some gesture at this point. Are there any opposed? All right, seeing none, then that is approved. And after having done that, did we actually vote on the minutes, or did I just have a motion and then we just started talking and we never actually voted on the minutes? That might be still on the table. All in favor of approving those minutes, wave just in case I did forget to do that. Any opposed? All right, those minutes are approved too then. You get that, Bessie? I don't think we voted. I think we just moved on. All right, I do have to ask if there is any public comment. Anyone following along on YouTube or the internet somewhere wanting to comment?
We have no public comment and no one in the waiting room.
All right, thank you, Ark, and thank you for sticking out a few minutes past our regularly scheduled time. We will typically ask for other announcements and whatnot, but we're kind of over time, so we'll forego all that. I will just put in one. I was going to go on, but I will put in a very quick plug for trying your best not to get Lyme disease. Be vigilant with your tick checks and your spray and what you do not want Lyme disease. I'm here to tell you, I am 6 weeks into this and it is no fun. Don't get Lyme disease. Anyway, all right. Anything else that's absolutely urgent that must be said? All right. Thank you all very much for being here. Thank you to the new folks for jumping in midstream and going along with us. Appreciate you all. We will adjourn at 2:37 p.m. Thank you.